I'll tell you the second time Brett told me to refuse to do a job. It was at the pay-per-view match with me and Triple H. And I'll never forget that as that was developing and they did the whole deal where he cut my hair, it was because I wanted to change my appearance and I wanted to turn heel. And I was asking them for that. And what they decided, Jim Ross came up with the idea that they should let Triple H cut my hair as part of the angle. And I agreed to it. I said, that's fine as long as you let me get some kind of revenge in the end. I know I'm not going to beat him. I didn't say this, but it was because he was in the clique. I knew I wasn't going to beat him because he's in the clique. But as long as I got some kind of revenge in the end. And they said, yeah, absolutely. Pretty sure it was Briscoe. You need to call Briscoe. And I called him, and he informed me of the finish, and there wasn't any revenge or anything. So I go and talk to Bret Hart about it, and I'm like, this isn't what we talked about. What do you think? He goes, I'd refuse to do it. He said it again. He go, I'd refuse to do it. I go, they had just renewed my contract. So my position wasn't as good now. I didn't have a bargaining position because I couldn't leave because I was in for another year. First 2-year contract and then rolled over 1 year at a time. Anyway, he said, you should refuse to do it. I was like, I don't know, man. And he goes, you know what I think you should do? You should talk to Vince. I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, okay. We were in the town of the pay-per-view, all in the hotel, all the TV people were there, and he goes, here's Vince's room number. He gave me his room number, and he said, call Vince. I called Vince at 8 a.m. the morning of the pay-per-view, and I said, Vince, I want to talk to you about the match. He said, I'm eating breakfast right now. Can I call you after? And I said, yeah, and I gave him my room number. Anyway, he called me back. He's like, what's going on, pal? And I said, Vince, I got the finish from Jerry last night, and it's not what we talked about. And I went into the whole thing, and I said, I don't think it's not a good idea, you know. And Vince, his whole demeanor changed immediately. Okay. He said, it's not like we're working on a 3 to 6 month run for Duke the Dumpster to become the World Wrestling Federation champion. Now, I knew that was the case, obviously, but it kind of stung when he said it. I showed up and just did it the way they said do it. I didn't refuse. And of course, I told Brett, I said I couldn't refuse because I just started a new contract and, you know, I'd be in a breach of contract. And he goes, okay, well, you need to take a step back and draw a new line in the sand. That was what he said. Draw a new line in the sand. Like Duke the Dumpster had such a bargaining position